Hello, everyone. Welcome to my Sterling Integrator and Cloud related channel. Wish you all a very happy Christmas and advance New Year wishes. Those who are new to my channel, I would like you to, if you really like the content or you think that my channel is able to provide you some valuable information for your day to day work, please do like, share, and subscribe this channel so that you get notified when I'm uploading some new tutorials around Sterling B2B Integrator, EDI in general, and cloud related technologies. Now, I got it, today's session right. I'm going to focus on a specific topic called Mailbox in Sterling Integrator based on a person who requested, can you cover Mailbox installing integrator? Now, having said that, few years back, when we used to talk about mailbox, it used to be a standard mailbox that you can create, configure, installing integrator. But of late, like few years, there is another um, mailbox which has been introduced, installing integrator. Maybe some of you have heard about it, maybe some of you haven't. It's called Global Mailbox, which is something which is used for storing different kind of documents and messages, and they are replicated across different data centers across the world for high availability and be able to access the data even if one specific data center or goes down. So that is a concept called global mailbox, but I'm not going to go into global mailbox in today's session. I'm going to talk about the standard mailbox that you have in Sterling Integrator. So with that, let me go and share my screen. So let's log into Sterling Integrator. When you log into Sterling Integrator, now you might all know that Sterling Integrator is a data processing engine, right? So, which means that you are dealing with millions of documents, both inbound and outbound. And your Sterling B2B integrator is providing that engine of not only sending and receiving the files, working as a communication layer, but on top of that it also does different kind of conversion from one file format to another file format. Now, when it is dealing with so many documents every minute, every second, there has to be a mechanism, there has to be a location where all these documents are stored and then processed further. So, that file storage location that Sterling Integrator provides by default is called a mailbox. Consider it as a folder and subfolders that you can configure within Sterling Integrator, just like if you are using a Mac device or you are using a Windows laptop, you have different drives like local drive C, local drive D, and so on and so forth. Within those disks or drives, you can create your own parent folder, and within that parent folder you can create subfolders. So for example, if you have a lot of photos that you want to store and organize within your laptop, typically what you do is probably you might create a folder called photos. Within that you might create subfolders based on the photos that you've taken traveling different places. So there might be subfolder based on different places that you have visited, or it might be based on month wise, like if you want to. So it really depends how you want to organize your data or your photos within different subfolders and subfolders within that. Similar concept is something that you can implement in Mailbox. So in it's called a virtual file system. Okay. Now, how do you configure Mailbox, or how do you access? When you log into Sterling Integrator, if you click on the Deployments tab, and within Deployments, so there is a tab called Mailboxes. If you expand that, there are four sub uh, tabs, which the first one is configuration, the second one is virtual routes, the third one is routing rules, and then the fourth one is messages. Now, if I click on configuration, here you have an option of listing all the mailboxes that are already present by default when you install Sterling Integrator. So if you see over here, there is these are all default mailboxes when you install the product, and you don't create any custom mailboxes. So you get a root mailbox which is denoted as slash, and then you have a dead letter mailbox where if there are any messages that are not processed, they go into dead letter mailboxes. Then you have EDI, inbound collection, extraction, outbound collection, extraction, uh, mailboxes for your default EDI related business processes, which we have covered few of them in one of our previous session. Now, if I return, and then let's say I have a requirement from my client stating the fact that I have to create a folder on our SFTP server, which is nothing but our Sterling B2B integrator, and um, the requirement further says that there would be an external trading partner who will be using some kind of SFTP client, like, for example, WinSCP, FileZilla, CyberDuck, or some kind of scripting with suppose SFTP protocol, connect to our SFTP server, and when they log into the SFTP server, they should be able to see their specific folder where they can just drop or place some files. And when the files are dropped in that location, those files will be picked up by certain business processes that we have configured within our Sterling integrator, and then process them and send it to some downstream applications. If that is the very simple requirement for a particular workflow that we have to implement, the first thing that comes in our mind is we need to create a folder, or a folder within our Sterling integrator to be able to receive the external trading partners data, and that is where we use mailboxes. Now, for that to do, we go and create a new mailbox, and then we can select the root folder as a parent folder, and then we can give a specific, we can go like we you can structure it like you can have a inbound folder, like a mailbox already created before you even create a external trading partner. So within that inbound folder itself, so you have to first create a strategy of how you want to create the entire structure, a directory structure, rather than doing it based on your wish. So first you plan. Now your plan might be, I will have an inbound and outbound as my parent folder structure or mailboxes under root folder slash, and then within that inbound and outbound I will have specific trading partner related mailboxes. Or it can be other way around, where you can have the trading partner related mailboxes just under root, and then you can create inbound and outbound under those specific trading partners based on what kind of documents they are sending, and whether it's both inbound and outbound. So you have to first plan accordingly and then start creating the mailboxes. Okay. Now here, let's say I create test, and then First, click next. The next page is where you need to assign groups to these mailboxes. Now, the groups might be uh, a combination of multiple users that are attached to the groups, because the groups actually own the permissions. So, let's say you have this is a good way of managing all your users. So, there might be multiple users which are assigned to a specific group, and that group has a specific permissions that they are assigned to based on, and then based on that, they would have visibility, access, and what they can do with the data. So, you have to create a group, and then you have to assign, like, create users and then assign those users to the groups, and then over here you typically select which group that you want to give permissions for this new mailbox. And then in the next page you assign the users, like if you want to assign specific subset of users within those groups, you can do that way. So for our simplicity and our learning purpose, I'm selecting mailbox administrators, and then I'm selecting next, and then let's say I'm giving myself a selected user, and then I'm clicking finish. So this is how you create a sample test mailbox. Now, if you click on return and then list those, I would be able to see my specific mailbox. So this is a virtual file system. Now the data, based on whether your file storage is a database or a file system, it depends where the payload will get stored. If your default file storage is database, the payload will also be stored as a blob object in your database. Versus if you have your file storage selected as a backend to file system instead of database, because you want to manage the size of the database, you don't want to keep adding size like storage to the database, then in that case the database would hold the metadata of the payload, the pointer to the payload of the physical file, and then the physical file will be basically stored in the file system. Okay. Now the next option that you have under mailbox is called virtual root. Now consider virtual root is like, virtual root is something like, this is basically used for like a security reason. So I might have 10 different trading partners that are sending or receiving files through Sterling Integrator. Based on regulations, compliance, and security needs, I should be able to make sure that when trading partner A logs in or gets connected to my SFTP server and be able to download or copy a file into a particular folder that they're assigned to, they should not be able to see the entire structure of the folder, and they should not be able to go like do cd dot dot if it is a Unix based, or they shouldn't be able to traverse to a different folder of a different trading partner and grab some other trading partner's file, right? To do that, and also like they shouldn't be able to see the entire folder structure so that they can traverse to another folder of another trading partner, we are we need an option to restrict them to their specific folder, and when they log in they see they're actually logged into the root or the parent folder itself, and they are not able to see any other folder structure, and they shouldn't be able to then traverse to a parent folder of that. For that reason, we use a concept that we have in Sterling Inter, which is called virtual root configuration. So, which is very important. So, if you see over here, if I click on create a new virtual root, and let's say for admin user, I want to create a virtual root, and then I select slash test. So I can, like, if there are, like, for example, if there are multiple subfolders within that, I can also select that as well, right? And that way they won't have access to, they don't know that there is a parent folder called test, but they would be taken to a folder which might be slash test slash inbound, and or slash maybe XML if there are like multiple file formats, and there might be XMLs and EDIs subfolders within that. And when they log in, they would be only seeing that that is the parent folder. There is no folder above that, right? In the hierarchy. So that's what the virtual root configuration page is used for creating the virtual roots. Routing rules is a very important topic in Sterling Integrator, where what we need to do is, as I mentioned, the requirement that I gave earlier was uh, the that when a file is dropped into a mailbox, someone has to do something on the file, right? It isn't like Sterling Integrator is never a tool or an application to just store files. So when a file comes in, there has to be some automated process of making sure that as soon as the file comes, the business process, or the business process gets kicked off, right? And grabs the file and does some processing based on the business logic that you've written, and then sends it to some other folder or maybe some downstream applications. To do that, we use routing rules. So routing rule is something which keep evaluating the mailboxes that it is tied to based on the time or the duration that we provide inter routing rules. And then if there are any files that matches the pattern within the routing rules, it's going to pick up the file, and then the business process that we have bootstrapped or configured within the routing rule is going to uh, consider that document as a primary document and start processing the file, right? So that is the reason we use routing rules. So there are some default routing rules that gets created, like EDI outbound and inbound collection. But if you go into create a new routing rule and just type test, and typically use evaluate automatically, and the action type might be a business process or contract specifically, where you are like creating EDI relationships, right? It creates a contract between a producer and a consumer, or an organization and a trading partner. So but for here, like let's say I select action type as business process. Now you can select which specific folder that it is, like the mailbox that it is tied to. I select slash test, and then what is the mail message name pattern? If it is like you want to grab all the files that comes in, irrespective of whatever their file format is, you can give star dot star, or you can give star dot XML. So it is going to only pick up the XML related files, like .xml extension related files, and not the other ones, right? So you can do that way. And then in the next page, you have an option of which business process is going to kick off and take that XML document as a primary document and start processing. So you have those options, and then you can configure the routing rules. And the other tab that we have, the last tab, is messages. So oftentimes we, as a production support person, gets ticket or emails from different trading partners and business stakeholders that we were supposed to receive this and this file on this and this date, or we have sent this file and we don't know where it is. Typically go first into this mailbox messages and search either by the mailbox name, if we know already the which mailbox the file typically lands in, or we can select by message ID or message name pattern if we know certain keywords of the message. And then we can also add additional filter options. We can select date, time, stamp, like based on like what the specific query is, and we can search those mailboxes messages through this message management tab within the mailboxes. So I hope this was useful for all of you who wanted to know more about mailboxes. Please do let me know if you have any additional questions through the comment section, and I'll try to respond to that. And as mentioned, if you are new to this channel, please like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for getting notified for any new videos around Sterling Integrator, B2B, EDI, and cloud. With that, thank you everyone, and I'll see you in next video.